What is the good word, everybody? You already know who it is. This is your man's TheOne, and I am here with a special part of the state of basketball, the Under the Boards interview series hosted by myself, the commissioner of basketball, TheOne. This is interview 2, and we got something really special lined up for you. I like to do my interviews a little different than most people. I like to go at the grassroots, the youth organization. 1, because I'm involved in it. 2, my daughter's involved in it. And 3, it's fun. So I like to do something different than the others. And tonight's guest, we have a really, 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 really good guy. I've met him once. I've talked to him a couple times. I've seen him at work. I've read some of his stuff. So it's going to be a really good conversation for us for a little bit of time here this after evening. I don't know what time it is. It's been such a long day. But let's go ahead and acknowledge a couple people, and then we'll bring on our special guest. If you're always looking to buy or sell a home or anything with real estate, we're going to send you to our Rockstar Realtor, Shawn Nugent, over at Rockstar Realties. Once you hit him up at 317-503-8322, and he'll get you all hooked up for everything you need to do about buying and selling a home. And then if you are checking or looking to get yourself in that elite performance, that elite shape, getting ready for spring break, getting ready for the upcoming season, the vacation season, to hitting the beach, make sure you check out our guy Zach over at Elite Performance, and he'll make sure he'll get a plan together to get you ready for that awesome vacation you're planning. And if you are looking to get yourself into a great organization, this is a non-for-profit organization, great people over there at Driving for Dyslexia. Check those guys out. They can give you some positive. They do great things in their communities for a learning disability that is getting some national recognition and getting some help now that these people are at the forefront of it. And last, we want to make sure we talk to our good friends over at Ayers Academy. Man, if you want to get a good competitive edge on some of your sports training, go check these guys out. They do vision training that is specifically designed for your sport. So good guys over there. So now let's get into it after we got through all that. This guy, if you are in on the local scene, you've probably seen him around several times. You've probably seen him walking around with a clipboard or a notebook or something of that sort, writing down names and numbers and putting out articles, things like that. You might even catch him on the sidelines a couple times, coaching a couple girls' games. Let's bring in our good friend. I'm trying to. Coach Ben Gorman. What's going on, buddy? How's it going?
Not much, man, other than it's freezing outside and shoveling a lot of snow this whole week. But other than that, it's cozy at the moment. So,
well, definitely is a lot of snow outside. Obviously, Coach is here with me in this great state of Indiana, and we got dumped with a lot of snow. Obviously, we're better equipped than our Texas brethren.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I got some I went to school in Texas, so I got some ex-buddies down there, ex-teammates that are going through it, and I keep sending them pictures of my neighbors shoveling snow in shorts, and they can't understand why. So.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like a state of emergency down there. They freak out, man.
Hey, I can tell you, one year I was down at the school I went to. I was down there, and it was in the winter season, and they normally in North Texas, they roughly stay around the 67 high 70, low 70s, high 60s during that time. It gets maybe a little cold, high 20s, low 30s in the nighttime. And so that's like great weather for me. I still got I still got on shorts or whatever. But they had got a snowstorm or an ice storm similar to this one, not as much snow, but more ice. And their whole town shut down, man. And with me being
like an apocalypse, it's like crazy.
And with me being from Indiana, I was driving, trying to go find some food. Being a college student, you're hungry.
Right.
And I got pulled over. And then when he saw where I was from, he really didn't give me any more flack. He just let me go.
Been there, done that. So no, that's cool, man. Yeah, this weather's been crazy, but it's also a fun time. It's basketball time. That's why, like, when I have a lot of really far away trips, I try to get them done and out of the way before I get to this part of the season. And then, anything here is just kind of close to home because you never know what's going to be coming down from the heavens here in the next few minutes or a few hours or whatever. One time it's a couple of years ago, and it's one of my favorite stories, but we were inside training and I was working with one of my players. We probably did about a 2.5 hour workout. And it was pretty clear outside when we started. And then when we got done, man, there was probably 9 feet of snow on top of our cars. Like we had to like shovel to get out and everything. And it's one of my players' favorite stories. She's like, man, every time it snows like this, I just think of that time we were training and then we went out and we were like, holy cow, where did this come from? It was like totally out of the blue. It was like a whole different day, whole different scenario. When you walked outside, it was like, holy cow, that's crazy.
Well, that speaks of two things. That speaks of dedication for you and the kids. And the statement is true that if you don't like the weather at a certain time in Indiana, give it a second. It will change.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that was just from left field, like, holy, yeah, it was crazy. So,
well, speaking of you stuck in a snowstorm, well, you seem to be a pretty busy man somewhere right around this time. With us here in Indiana, this part of the year is girls' state basketball tournament. The boys will start here in a little bit, but it's girls' state, and I think we're going into semi-state weekend. So with you being a scout, a player profiler, a trainer, this is probably a really exciting and busy time for you.
Yeah, it's I just kind of wish there was more of me sometimes because there's 4 semi-state games and none of them are close whatsoever. So then you got to say, okay, well, which one am I going to? What am I going to see? Who am I going to evaluate? Those type of things. Or some of the players that I train, I like to go watch them perform so I can see what they do or how they do things. And if they did things really well or, ooh, hey, there's something we got to clean or fix, things like that. So I'm just there to support them too. It's always good to have someone that in the stands and be behind you, so it's tough, man. It's like I really kind of need to be at 4 different places at one time, and that's just not possible, but it's fun. It's still exciting, and it's a great time. And I mean, there was a ton of upsets and stuff last weekend, and I kind of envision more of that to happen. I tell people all the time that's why they go out and play the game. It's like there's no guaranteed winners and there's no guaranteed losers. Put the ball up and let's go and see what happens, and anything can happen, So I like that part. It's exciting and fun, and there's always surprises too. So,
well, I guarantee you, I agree with you on that. There's no guarantees on winners and losers in particular games because I did not fathom North Central losing, if at all, until at least the finals of the state at all. So
yeah, they were pretty stout all year long, and I mean, it wasn't much to challenge them anywhere along the way. And then next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, such and such." Like, wow, okay.
Yeah. So, saying that actually takes from a busy time for you, as in putting out some of the things that you do, like going into the spring and summer AAU. But before we get into that, I think this time is probably a good time to come out with talk about some of the things that you do, as in the scouting, and I want to say profiler. Like we talked about it a little bit yesterday when we were on the phone. We wanted to get away from that word recruiter because that's like a funny word in our sports business. And you used the word profiler, and I loved it. So, why don't you talk a little bit about your scouting and your profiling? How do you work that with you and the writing that you do?
Well, I get calls all the time. Just for example, today I got a call from a coach down in Miami, Florida, and they're like, "Hey, man, we love Indiana kids. We see you do a lot with Indiana, and we want to recruit Indiana kids." So I'm like, "Well, what are you looking for? Guard wise, class wise, player wise, position wise, stuff like that." And then when they tell me those things and what they're looking for, then I try to find good fits that will fit their program and what they're looking for and what they're wanting to do. But you also got to know the personnel that's out there and who would be a good fit for that. It's like there's a lot of people that just push players, but they don't push what that coach is looking for. So I try to narrow it down and really dial it in and get them something that's going to be a fit for them and a fit for the player too. I wouldn't want to send a kid down to Miami if a player only wants to be an hour or two from home. That's not going to work. So stuff like that. So I'll try to make good matches and good things of that nature and kind of know more about a kid, not just their basketball skill level wise, but what they're wanting to do school wise and, education wise and beyond that and just who they are as a person and that type thing. I know some coaches, they're yeller and screamers and stuff like that. And some kids don't fit in those programs, and then other kids are like, "Man, coach, I wish you would yell at me some more and get after me. I play better that way," and it's like, so sometimes you got to kind of know the coach and the people and the personnel and who you're sending them. And then that way it's a good fit, so I really try to do a lot of that and mentor parents and players and even coaches too on those type of things. This year, and actually last year, has been absolutely crazy. I had a coach the other day, he called me and was like, "Hey, we're getting such and such to come to our program." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's great." I was like, she was telling me about that and that she committed and she's going to come play for you guys and everything. And he's like, "Yeah, she told me that you're a trainer and you work with her. And I just want to know what she's like." And I was like, "What do you mean? What is she like?" And he's like, "Well, I've never met her in person. I just went off of, this is what she did. We got to see film and she told me that she was working with you and I knew that would be good for me. And, and they've never even met, and I'm like, wow, how crazy is that? It's like a complete virtual recruitment and they're just going off of what people like myself and others are saying and like just taking that and running with it because they know that that's solid. You know what I'm saying? It's really good in a way, but it's kind of scary in a way too that, you're going to get into your program and you never even met them, so it's wild what these types of times and stuff are right now. So I've been telling all the kids too, man, it's like coaches are virtually recruiting, man, you got to get clips out there. You got to get film. You got to like get stuff to them and in their hands. And it's probably going to be the most competitive recruiting spring, summer this year there is, so like get ahead of it. Let them know who you are and where you're going to be and what you're going to do. And, if they can't see it, put clips together and send it to them. I mean, I got coaches sitting around and they're like dying for film things to watch and to do, so I'm trying to put that stuff together and get it to them and get it in their hands and make sure they're good fits for each other, that type of stuff.
So that's where we want to break down the word recruiter and the word profiler. So I gather, or it sounds to me that you're more of a person who puts somebody's, let's say, portfolio. If you were an artist, you would be somebody to put that portfolio together and place it in the right hands to make these kids and these programs fit more so than I'm a Adidas person who sends only players to this particular type of organization.
Right. That's one thing I start off with is I make a player profile and I'm just, and it gets them ready for a real world stuff too. I'm like, hey, this is a 1-page resume. It's a 1-page resume that you're sending to a college coach to get them interested in you and to show them what you can do and what you've done or what you're about, or even, personal things about yourself that's important to you, and sell yourself. You got to take ownership of your recruitment, and a lot of players don't do that. It's like if I'm, I was a college coach for 10 years and if I'm getting recruitment letters from mom or, your high school coach or from some recruiting service that you're paying, it's like, I'm not really that interested, but if I get it directly from the player, then that shows that, you're vested in what you're doing, and then you're putting time into it, and it has more value to me. It was as a recruiter, and I'll be like, okay, it's interested in us, then I got at least put her name on the board and see what it's about. I mean, that's what we used to have. We'd have a board with like 300 names on it, and we had one scholarship to give out, and I was just told, hey, don't screw up, so it's like, how do you start doing that? You just start going through, and it was like, okay, we'll just sort it by GPAs. You don't have a 3.5 or above, you just start crossing them off the list. And then, I mean, you start really getting selective when you get, one scholarship to give out of all these kids. And so then we had a list of like, here's players that we're interested in. Here's players that are interested in us. Here's players that other schools in our conference are interested in, So I always tell kids all the time, I'm like, man, if you're interested in Michigan University, you need to go hit every Big Ten team and get them interested in you and get them to compete for yourself. And then if Ohio State is saying, hey, we're going to offer this kid, and then I'm the recruiter for Michigan, I got to say, hey, do we want to go against that kid for the next 4 years, or do we want them in our program and be with us and not against us? So things like that, man, I really promote that a lot. And I was talking to somebody last year at one of the events, and I had parents like getting out notebooks and writing. They're like, man, we got to write this stuff down. And I'm like, how do you not know these things? It's like, to me, it's just natural, I don't know, business instincts, you know what I mean? But some people, like, they just don't see that. I tell them too, scholarships turn into more scholarships. If you get one school interested in you, then that's going to start trying other stuff. Some schools are going to think they're going to drag you along, man. They're going to drag you along for as long as they can. And as long as they know they can get you, then they don't have to commit. They don't have to do anything. If they always know that, hey, I got Susie in my hip pocket whenever we want, and then, well, hey, guess what? 5 people are offering her this and that. And then you're like, man, hey, we got to either step up and make it happen, or we might lose that, That gives them a sense of urgency. So just things of that nature is what we're really trying to do. And that's what we call it, like our player promotion, profile. So then that way we can just, here it is, give them all the tools that they need to be able to get it to schools and get that information out and get them the right stuff,
Man, that would have been great to have back in the early 90s because recruitment was so different. You know what I mean? If I promise you, if we'd had situations like this with our services that you provide, guarantee you, I probably had a little bit more opportunities. You know what I mean? But I will also say it wasn't the talent. It was more of the school thing that was my issue. So I would have been one of those players who'd have benefited way more the G League than school.
Right. And I tell people that all the time. It's like, if basketball wasn't part of the situation, would you still want to go to school there? Some are like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, if you're wanting to be in engineering, why are you going to a nursing school? Things like that. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Those are the kids that in 2 years will be calling me saying, hey, coach, I'm going to enter the portal and I'm going to be doing this and that. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because you didn't even go to the right school to begin with, and you just wasted 2 years. Now you're going to be in school for another 4 to get your degree, and you're just wasting time, man. And so that's another part where I'm really trying to help mentor and help people make decisions and stuff like that, because I just, on the college side, I saw that so much, and that's why I stepped away, and I wanted to, help in that aspect with parents and things like that. I mean, I can tell you how many times I got $40,000 or $45,000 a year to give your kid, and I can't even get them into the program. They haven't even taken these tests. They haven't even done these things, and I got a scholarship and I can't even give it to you, and either their AAU coach didn't see it through or their high school coach didn't see it through. Basically, once these kids were done playing, the coaches were done with them. They didn't see them get to that next step. They didn't follow up on those things and see that stuff through. And that was something that I just saw way too many kids just falling through the cracks, and then who should have been playing and doing stuff and just weren't, and I get asked all the time. They're like, well, coach, do you think I can play in college? I was like, it's not about that. It's like, do you want to? It's like college teams and programs out there. I mean, you can go play somewhere. It just depends on how bad you want to play and what you want to do and those type of things, So I try to tell people all that all the time. They look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, man, you have to be college basketball teams are there just in Indiana alone. I mean, if you look at NAIA, Division III, Division II, any of that stuff just here for the Midwest, man, I got a spreadsheet that's got like 500-600 schools on it, and it's crazy. I send it to somebody and they're like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, it's like a lot of options out there, there's especially right here in the Midwest, that's why I love it. And that's like with our East, or that's why I feel like we don't have to go really far to go anywhere to be seen. And a lot of what we're doing is just right here. We're in the hotbed of it, so I mean, it's Midwest is really big as far as any of that goes.
I completely and 100% agree with you. Hey, let's switch patterns a little bit. So let's shift into our spring and summer AAU ball. Now, you are a coach with the Indiana Showcase, correct?
Yeah, I'm the club director there. So I'm in charge of 12 teams right now. So that's why I have no hair anymore. So it's about to drive me absolutely crazy. It's tough. It's a very hard situation. We have more players than coaches right now. I could probably put together another 10 teams if we could find coaches. And that's the hard part is finding people that are, willing to donate their time, are passionate about what they do, and, have time to do it. A lot of people don't realize, man, I've had coaches that they're taking vacation days to come and do some of these events and stuff like that, or they're doing this or that. Like they're making huge sacrifices on their part. And, they get some stuff for things, but it's not like they're getting paid for it or anything. And to find people like that is extremely difficult, let alone be good at coaching basketball on top of that,
Right.
being no X's and O's and those type things. So a lot of times I'm like coaching the coaches and helping be mentors to them too. I'm like, well, hey, I see this, and now hey, here's some things that you could do that might help you in that, or here's a communication thing, kind of work on that, and that'll help you out. And sometimes I see stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. I wouldn't have done it that way, but then after I see how it worked out, I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. So I kind of learned too from it. It kind of keeps me current and up to date as well too. So, but yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've got a pretty big schedule this year. I don't know if you know, but like scheduling last year was an absolute freaking
nightmare.
Yes. I think we probably scheduled the same hotel like 5 different times, and it was going to do this and going to do that. And we weren't going to be able to do this. And then we ended up playing in everything that we were supposed to be. And it all came here to Indy. So that was kind of nice,
That was the good thing.
Yeah, I loved it, man. Everybody was like, man, where are you staying at? I'm like, man, I'm
home.
5 minutes from here. Yeah, I was like, home. And they're like, what? They're like, can we come stay at your place next time? And I'm like, man,
no.
But it was nice. But it's nice to get away too. And like when you go on trips and things like that, I think you really get a lot of team bonding and some time together and stuff like that. And that really strengthens everybody. So I think we missed a lot of that, and that was really hard. We never got to practice, but we got to literally play every weekend. So it was kind of helter-skelter on some stuff, you're trying to put stuff in. And we would talk about something, and, we would work on some type of man-to-man offense, and we saw zone the whole game, and it's like, oh, my. We got to hold 2 timeouts, 30 seconds apiece, and, it's not like you get a whole lot of time to work on or do anything, So it was tough, but I think as an AAU coach, you got to kind of learn and be able to do things on the fly and be quick about it. It's like to where high school coaches, they get to watch film and prepare. There's a lot more preparation in that stuff. Your opponent, what you're going to have. It's like we get on the court and I'm sitting there trying to figure this team out during warm-ups. It's like, okay, well, she might be the shooter.
Yep.
And you got to be very dynamic. So I think it's really helped me coaching-wise, because it's more seat of the pants, and you got to be able to make adjustments and do things. We've even put communication things in so that we can totally change what we're doing with just a few verbal things, and there's like, oh, okay. And you don't get a lot of timeouts or anything like that either. So it's like, it's not like you can stop everything and bring everybody in and talk about it. It's like, you got to be able to do it as it's happening. So, and I think that's good for the kids too, because some kids, man, you try to tell them something, they just stop in their tracks and look, huh? I was like, man, the game's still going on. You got to be able to listen to me, play and work and do all this stuff at the same time, So because we kind of like, they just kind of nod their head. And I was like, okay, I know that they heard me and they acknowledged it, and we'll put it in play as we're playing, So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about a lot of stuff. There's some new things. We got Blue Star coming up, and I think that's going to be really exciting this year for our Blue Star League. We've got our seniors, juniors, and they got a new Rising League star for the younger bucks. We've got a pretty solid 8th grade team I'm pretty excited about. It's really neat. They put together it's 7th and 8th grade only, like no high school teams, nothing like that. So it's kind of catered to that age group. And they have like an all-star event at the end of it. The coaches all help vote on teams and players and stuff like that from each team, and I think that's really cool. And I always hang out and help out with all that and stuff too. So something special just for the younger kids as well,
Well, now that you mentioned that, because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, was about this Blue Star. So I'm going to stick my foot all in my mouth, because, we were 3 years ago, Mackenzie was fortunate to play on the team that went to, I think it was an IGB team with Natalie Morris, that we went to Chicago to play in the Nike tournament, or the Nike thing up in Chicago. So I saw the Blue Star off on the side, and listening to other people talk and blah, blah, blah. I had, didn't understand it and got like I guess that's the like the JV or whatever to whatever tournament, the gauntlet or the Nike circuit that was going on. And I had Coach Hollins on the live broadcast a couple of days ago, and I kind of mentioned some funny things about it. But then when I was talking to you, I noticed the director of the Blue Star. So I started to dig in a little bit more about it, and I'm like, hey, this is not a bad league at all. So why don't you explain a little bit to us about the Blue Star?
Yeah, they have it's grown. Like, I think this is our 3rd year in it. They put it together as part of USJN Blue Star Nike program. We originally had like 24 teams. They took and broken into like 2 divisions, and then you played all those teams within those divisions. And then that was kind of like your seeding and stuff. And then we had like the Blue Star Nationals, and then basically every team was bracketed in a throwdown, tournament to go play, and who got the bragging rights and the Blue Star trophy. So it was really good, very competitive, really good teams. They've added to that. I think there's like 36 teams this year. We picked up like Tennessee, Arkansas. There's a lot of teams that are really solid programs. And then we wanted to have some development stuff too. So then that way, we had, a top level team, but then our juniors would be like either your Blue Star team to be for next year, or if you had another top 17U team or something like that, you could have another high level. And it was kind of like a feeder system type thing just to help get those kids some more exposure. They also I like the format of it too, because some events there's like 2 or 3 courts, and then all those teams just play on those courts. Well, as a recruiter for college, I used to be like, I got to be on court 19, then I got to be at court 55 at I might get to watch a third game, and I got to go here. Well, with this, they put all the good teams on all the same courts, and you can just sit there and watch and see it all, and not have to go anywhere or do anything. So I really like that aspect. Is like, hey, here's our showcase. It's right here in front of everybody, and here it is, and it's really nice. I like that part of it. And again, it helps my players get exposure. They get to see that stuff. There's plenty of coaches watching players from our team and the other team and other teams. It's like, it's all right there. So it's really good. I'm pretty excited about it. And I think they got even more teams wanting to be part of it next year too. So it's growing, and we kind of got in on the entry point of it, and which is always nice,
Mm-hmm.
Being the innovator is always tough though on some things, but I think it's going to be really good this year. We have Milwaukee this year. We come to Indy, and then we play in Chicago. So those, again, 3 nice locations. Lots of basketball in those areas. I've already talked to plenty of college coaches. They're like, oh, yeah, well, we're going to be there. Well, we're going to see this, and we're going to see that. Or, of course, they ended the dead period, but all that's going to be live streamed and coaches can sit and watch it and see it. I think all that was on Baller TV last year. I'm not sure if they're using the same people for that or not, but they were there at all the events. And, I'd send stuff to my coaches and they're like, oh, yeah, we saw that. I got film of it. Sweet. So, again, they're going to be sitting and watching anyway. So, I mean, we got to give them stuff to look at,
Exactly. So, before we end up here, why don't you let the people know how they can get in touch with you, get in touch with your organizations, of where they can get their kids or recommend their kids to go to look for either specialized training or just a little club ball.
Right. We have our website for one. Of course, we're a non-profit organization, and the website is indiana-showcase.org, and it's just the letter I and the letter N. So we don't spell out Indiana. So just in-showcase.org. We have a lot of information out there. We put our camps and workouts there. Yes, perfect. Of course, that's my cell phone too, the 317-459-3727. Text me anytime. I'm usually in a gym, so it's hard to get a hold of me, but just leave me a message and I'll follow up. Or half the time, my phones don't work in the gym, and I walk outside and my phone goes ding, 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 like 10 million messages all at one time. So
been there.
Yes. So you know how that goes. And of course, I'm big on Twitter as well too. I got a really big following, and man, it's pretty wild. Like, I'll post something about a player or about a game or something like that, and I can tell what college coaches are following and interested in that kid, because I'll see ding, 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 ding. I'm like, okay, all right. I was like, that might be like, who's this? Where did it come from? And I'll follow. They're like, oh yeah, hey, we really like her. And we're interested in that. So that's kind of nice too. I like to put that out there and see, and sometimes you can kind of get some good pickups and things from that as well too.
So awesome. Well, thanks, Coach. I appreciate you hanging out with us and talking a little about what you do and how you can help these young athletes nowadays who are starving for that knowledge. And you're in a good position. You're giving it to them. You're giving back. You have a great program. I have actually seen you in gyms and places throughout the state of Indiana, and I think I've seen you in Louisville as well, because I travel with my daughter. But right. we appreciate you coming on and chat just for a while, and the door is always open if you ever want to come on and talk about things you got going on for the future or anything like that. The door is always welcome, and I appreciate you coming on with us.
I love it, man. And I'll be getting with you because we're gonna have a big combine camp again this spring, so that's something that's really taken off for us. We put together, we used to do, the WNBA had a combine, and then similar to like the NBA, but they quit doing it a while back. Well, I started asking a lot of college coaches, because like we're doing these profiles and stuff like that. They're like, man, I'd love to see a kid be able to do this, and I'd love to be able to see, a jab, one dribble pull up. And so like over the summer, I put together a whole list of things that college coaches would like to see. And we put all that together in a combine with skills and video and measurables. It's like, just how quick are you dribbling a basketball? Okay, we did a sprint, but how about a sprint dribbling it down right hand and then left hand coming back, and stuff like that. And some things you were like, wow, it's like really impressed by something or something that surprised you, or sometimes you see a kid is like, oh, okay, that kid is slow, work on foot speed, but it kind of gives you some ideas of what you need to work on and do and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy because I went and watched and did some evaluations at other camps, and then I started seeing them implement some of the things that we did at our combine, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to keep raising the bar and adding to it. But we got a lot of interest, a lot of college coaches that wanted that data. They wanted those metrics, and I went through and put a lot of metrics and things together and analytics to give them those kind of numbers and to give them those kind of measurables on a kid. It's like if you took and plug these in, okay, this kid can score at all three levels. Her mid range was good, finishing was good, has range out at the three. There's so many times I've had a coach come up to me and they're like, man, I love this kid, but I'd love to see her take a shot just one time. It's like, I know she can finish around the rim and I know she can get to the free throw line, but can she shoot it? So the next game, I'm like, hey, I want you to take a couple shots outside just to show them you can do it, and then do those things. And that's some stuff that some coaches and players just don't realize. It's like a coach is just sitting there the whole time, and they're just loving it, but they're like, man, I just love to see this kid take one shot and just see if they even have a shot or what the shot looks like, or, I know they can shoot it, but can they put it on the floor and get to the rim? Can they go by somebody, or are they strong enough to hit somebody and finish and get an and one and get to the free throw line? I got a kid that got a full ride just because she scored 10 points a game from the free throw line. He's like, man, I love that. He's like, that's what we need. We don't have that, and she got a 4-year scholarship, so things like that. If they ask me and are looking for those type of things, then I try to make sure, hey, next time we're out there, we got to put some things in place, or we're going to put you over at this spot, so that way that coach can see some of that stuff and those things. So I'm really excited about that. We'll probably put that together at the end of, maybe early September, late September, after all the AU's done, and start doing some of our camps and put some of that stuff together. And then I want to have you guys come out and broadcast the whole thing. And I got a lot of college coaches that are wanting to watch that and see it and get that input, man. They're junkies on that stuff, man. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but man, if you can put any kind of numbers, any kind of video, any kind of anything in their hands for them to look at and analyze and study, and they're all about it, So I want to be able to provide them with those kind of things for these kids and put that kind of stuff out there. So it's pretty exciting. A lot of the kids really got a big kick out of it. I think it was funny. I don't know who got more of a workout, my coaches or my players. I was like, you talk to work the camp. They're like, Coach, man, I had a workout and a half, man. I had to go home and sit for like 2 days. Like I ain't never passed the ball so many times in my life. And I was like, we were all working, man. So like, that good things are happening if that's the case. If my coaches are like, man, holy cow, it's like the players are like, whew, we're done, Coach. This is
yes.
So it was really good. They definitely got their money's worth and then some. So I'm pretty excited about hosting that again and involving it and adding to it. So
awesome. Well, we would definitely love to be a part of it and love to take care of that broadcast for you. So obviously we'll talk about those things as the time goes along. But once again, we want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us, answering a couple of questions, explaining how you are, what you do, and all those good things. And we appreciate it. So we're going to let you go. We're going to sign off. And that's it. Thank you, sir. And this again is the State of Basketball presents Under the Boards interview series. And our guest today was Coach Ben Gorman. Thanks a lot, Coach. And we'll see you guys next time.
Stay safe.